Welcome to Odd Musings with, what's the name?
Scott and Brent.
You heard him.
All right.
I'm
Thanks,
D.
Steve.
Snyder.
Hey, welcome to Odd Musings, episode 168.
Yes.
And I am back on my actual computer, not a iPad like I was last week. Finally got things working, I guess. Maybe we'll see how it goes. How you doing, Scott? We haven't talked much lately. You know, we did the show last week and we got off. We were like, oh, see, I got to go.
Yeah,
like running.
Yeah, we've been busy, but a good busy. So it's good. Things have been moving well. And I've just been enjoying, I've just been in full creative mode, which has been nice, and been really enjoying that. I'm working on pages 22 and 23 of our new Wretched Realms series coming out. Page 1 of Crimson Shadows, issue 2 was submitted in. And he's working on those pages. We've got Poe Macabre Master going. So there's so much going on. So we're going to talk about that later on today as well.
Yeah,
but I'm excited for all this stuff. It's a lot of fun.
a lot of good stuff. I was telling you before we got on, I'm working on the script for the story I'm doing in Poe Macabre #2 with Kevin. And I think it'll be fun. I'm doing the dream within a dream poem.
Okay.
Poe did. So, and I was reading through it, and finally I had a good idea. So I haven't told Kevin about it, so I'm not going to tell it on air until I talk to him about it once it's finished up and I get the gist to my head. I'm just planning out the shots, basically the panels and that. So,
and we said Kevin's name three times and we invoked him.
Yes.
Good morning, Kevin.
It's only because he's a fan of. It's like integrated now into that. You say, Kevin Miner. Boom, there he is. Yeah. Gonna see him next weekend.
So I got my notice from Ready Comics. They're sending it via freight to me, so it'll take like a week. But the shipment's already been set, so I should have it by end of this week.
Nice.
I should have the shipment in, so I will be ready to go. So yeah, we are. As long as Brandy green lights our trip to her house.
Well, Mom has already been in touch, and Brandy has greenlit it. So,
okay,
and we'll talk off air on what times we're going and stuff like that. So, and how we're going to handle our time. I'm looking forward to it because, I got to see Kevin and Brandy, and it's been like 7 weeks now. It feels like an eternity because and that and it's been a long time since all three of us have been together.
Well, because we now exist in COVID time. It's like dog years.
I had a doctor's appointment yesterday. She goes, "How you doing?" I said, it's Groundhog's Week, and not a day, it's week. Every week it resets on Tuesday morning, and that's kind of when I start my week. And it's like, okay, I finished working yesterday. I'm back at it again. It doesn't feel like it. So, yeah. So Kevin says, kids are looking forward to seeing Uncle Scott and Uncle Brett. All right.
That's right. I'm looking forward to it.
I bought a game to bring for all of us to play with the kids. And I'm looking forward to that. And I'm going to leave it there, of course, because it's for them, but it should be fun.
Awesome.
And it's in the vein of the Batman that we'll be talking about today. So
yeah, the Batman. There's also that new trailer for the Snyder Cut that came out. So
I haven't seen that yet. I haven't watched it. I keep forgetting to pull that up. But at the same time, it's not coming out. It's coming on HBO Max next year, and so we'll have to see what exactly is going on with that. So, but we got some business to take care of. I'm gonna start off with Larger Family Chiropractic because I was there yesterday, and there's their nice shot of Belleville Lake. It's such a beautiful shot of the lake there, and the front of the building there when you go into Belleville there, and they're located in Dexter, Michigan, also. It's town as well. I actually drive through there quite a bit doing deliveries for Shipped. But there's Dr. Brian and Dr. Anna right there. And I got to see Dr. Anna. Of course, she's my main chiropractor. And we always have a nice visit besides getting adjusted and get my wellness and everything going. But if you're looking to increase your health and wellness, especially during this time of COVID. Larger Family Chiropractic, they do take great pride in providing the finest chiropractic care to each and every patient. They offer the on-site digital x-rays, massage therapy, orthotics by foot levelers, young living essential oils, aromatherapy, full line of vitamins, all in a family-oriented environment. You can give a call at their Belleville location, 734-697-4244. Visit them online at LoringerFamilyChiropractic.com. We do have a link at Odd Musings under our sponsors page, as with all our sponsors and that. I got to tell you, with the on-site digital x-rays, it helps. I was having issues with my shoulder for several weeks. I had not sure what I did. I woke up and it was really hurting and like that. It went on for several days, and I finally got in, and it took a few weeks to adjust and get whatever was the kink that was there out. And when it ended up having to do x-rays, which I hadn't done in a little while, and it was nice that went in, did the x-rays, came back into the room, and because it's digital, it was right there, ready to go, and we could go right over it and see what was going on, and we could see that there was some shifting in a couple things. Probably pulled something tied into my muscles, and that pulled everything else. But that's part of the things I find that helps me stay healthy is chiropractic care. And I've been doing this long before COVID, because I've talked about it. You can go back to episode 1 pretty much, and you can see that, hey, I talked about it since then, and I do highly recommend chiropractic care. I think it's good for anybody, for anything. Heck, babies, eventually there's going to be a new baby in the family. And something to keep in mind is that, there's a lot of trauma that happens during that time. And Dr. An is a big firm believer in adjusting the babies within a few days of them being born. And, she did a special way. They're nothing really invasive, but it helps keep them going. And she talks about at times when she's had babies come in that have like jaundice and different things going on, a little adjustment, and it starts to help clear all that up, because it gets their body moving and healing itself.
Yeah, and they're in Belleville and Dexter. Even if they're a little bit far for you, it's still worth the trip. When my daughter needed help, it was an hour drive for us, but it was well worth it. And a little side benefit is, it's still summer, it's still hot out. You go there, even if it's a little drive, and then right across the street there is that A&W. You can get a root beer float or something afterwards.
And they have good A&W root beer.
They do.
They mix it themselves. It's not the premix.
Restaurants in Belleville there. I always forget the name, and I hate that I do that. But what is the name of that sandwich?
If they are still open, it was the Lunchbox, but I was told they're closing.
Are they? They were really delicious.
Yeah, they were. I think part of it, they're renovating that little corner there, and I read something that I was going to close it up, and that they decided that he wanted to move on and do something. So yeah, it sounds like the guy does this like every so many years. So he does a business, and then he gets tired of it and says, "I'm going to do something else somewhere else." So
okay,
but it was a great little place. So
yeah,
so
definitly. But
you may hear my phone go off today. If you hear my phone go off, it's only because I'm on the schedule for tomorrow and I don't want to miss anything.
That's fine.
So,
also, at Loringers, they carry Stony Creek Hemp, friends of ours.
Yes.
They do an amazing, their product is awesome. And even with Roddy, he uses a different brand, but he also said how well CBD oils work for him as well. This is a topical cream, and it's really easy to do. You just do a little bit and rub it on, and 5-10 minutes later, you're feeling better. So it's good stuff.
Connie, the Comic-Con mom, just said that the building's gone. So they closed up and they tore down the building there. That whole corner is being renovated, which is, I think, will be a good for Belleville, is getting some new blood in there and new stuff going on in that. But
it's nice downtown. Yeah,
but Stony Creek Hemp, hopefully, we've talked to them. They're talking about coming back with us in October. So I don't mind giving them a slight buzz here and there, because they helped us so much. The topical was one thing. I started using the drops with headaches. And that in chiropractic care, I've actually slowed using the drops. I don't use them every day anymore. And I noticed that I don't have a need to, in terms of, I never felt an addiction to it, but it was always strictly because of my headaches. And I'm feeling so much better. And I think a lot of it was the CBD allows with chiropractic care, allows your body to kind of naturally heal itself.
I think
by affecting it gets those nerve receptors. And if your body's not having to fight the nerve receptors, then it can constantly work on just fixing everything else.
With my situation with my feet, I was using it twice a day for like 3 to 6 months, and then it became once a day for another 6 months. It's rare that I have to use it now because my feet feel great. I haven't had to use it in a while. So, I really do believe it was the Stony Creek Hemp that helped it.
Yes, definitely. But another one of our great sponsors sitting there in Scott's office there is
Team Titans of Real Estate. That's me and Jill. This is our Facebook page, Team Titans RE on Facebook. We got we do videos also there.
That's the new page, isn't it?
I hate this layout. I hate it. Yeah,
They switched me over yesterday. I was like,
yeah.
man.
I think supposedly it's easier on the eyes, but I have trouble finding things.
I do like the dark aspect of it,
Yeah.
but I still have to get used to where they put everything at now because I got to relearn everything.
Yeah, I think it's Facebook's.
Damn you, Zuckerberg!
Yeah, it's like, okay, they figured out how to use our site. We got to change it now. Yes. So, actually, I got to switch this around. All you see is my crotch here. Let's see. Can I edit it? Edit. Reposition. It's all the way down.
See, again, they've changed everything so much that it's just messed up on that. So
anyway, so we're here for you, all your real estate needs. Even though it's COVID season, it's now we're going into flu season, which who knows what that means. But you still need to move. Life happens. People are getting married, getting divorced. People are having babies, or upsizing, downsizing, everything in between. So give us a call. We're here to help you. 586-549-6096 is my number. You can call Jill, 586-277-2145. Our consultations are free, and make use of it. Why not?
Definitely.
So, yeah.
And there's been a lot of, I've seen this as with all the driving I do around the Ann Arbor, Dexter area, and a little bit of Saline, seeing a lot of signs go up, and by next time I go by, a lot of times I'm seeing a sold put on it. So houses are definitely moving, and
inventory. I cannot stress enough how low inventory is. There's two aspects to it. One is less people are putting their houses up for sale. A lot of people, the average person used to live in their house 5 to 8 years. Mm-hmm. They're now living in their house like 10, 13 years because they're spending the money on renovations and living in their house longer. Baby boomers, as they're getting older, the elderly population used to move out of their house at a younger age into nursing homes or assisted living. People are choosing to stay in their homes longer for various reasons, and that's extending how long. So we're getting less homes on the market, but at the same time, we're getting more buyers entering the pool as millennials get older, and they're getting into their 30s now. They're looking to buy their first homes. So we're getting more buyers, less sellers. It's creating quite the dynamic, supply and demand. So when demand outpaces supply, prices go up, and it's good for you if you're buying.
Yeah, I delivered to a neighborhood the other day, and they were having an estate sale, and it's a little more affluent neighborhood, and tons of cars there. You can see that. But so there's a house right there. As soon as the estate sale is done, they're going to be putting that house on the market. If they didn't sell it during the estate sale, which they typically don't do, but unless it went to the IRS or something. But yeah, it's I'm seeing that a lot more as, again, the elderly population are starting to either they're doing estate sales to get rid of stuff because they are downsizing, moving into different communities and homes and things like that, or they've passed on. So now the kids are having to clear out everything, and they've got 60, 70 years worth of stuff.
Right.
So, but yeah. I highly recommend, not just because Scott's one of my good friends. It's because Jill is so awesome. You guys should really go to Team Titans of Real Estate and check out the things. And nice thing is, for those that are watching, if you have just questions, give them a call because they can help direct you in the right place. So that way you don't get taken advantage of, and you can actually know what to look for and some trigger words and things like that. So they'll make sure you guys are on the right track. So
yeah,
someday if I buy a house, that's what I'm doing. I'm calling Scott and Jill.
Oh, thank you. So, I appreciate that. You'd only call for Jill, though.
Well, yeah, she's prettier, so I like looking at her more. It's your beard that and I see you got some gray in the beard now. So
yeah, it's always been there. It's just slowly getting more. Slowly getting more.
You gotta get that pop. You gotta get that pop beard going.
Yeah, people. I've been accused of dyeing my beard. I've never dyed my beard. Same with my hair. I don't dye it. So,
mine just when it decided to go, it just went.
It went,
and it was that fast. It was like, oh, you're dark hair. Where did all this gray come from? I was like, I don't know. I was just here one day, so it just shows up. Yeah, it's there. But I turned 49 last week, so that's
right. Happy birthday!
Thank you.
Your birthday is extremely close to Sean Connery's birthday.
Yeah, we're talking a little bit about that today. And and there's Jill modeling the new T-shirt.
Yep, we got the Crimson Shadows T-shirt is in stock now. So the last element is the stuff coming from Ready Comics, and like I said, it's on its way. So I'll be doing a lot of packing and sorting of everything. So good stuff.
Cool. So
the shirts came out great. The shirts, I want to give a huge thank you to t-24.com. They made the shirts. That was a detailed file, and they were able to really reproduce it well as a t-shirt. So they did phenomenal as always. I look forward to getting these shipped out as rewards to people so they can experience the comfort of T-24.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Another shirt to add, and being that it's on my T-24, it goes to another 30 shirts I have there. We started this podcast, I had like 2.
Yeah.
And now because they were a sponsor and they're such great friends, I keep buying more shirts. I wore it yesterday, the Palpatine Vader. I never had that one, so I bought that one finally. And then I got the their X-Files one that I've worn a few times, which I like, because I'll wear it when I'm not shifting, but I'm going to the grocery store because it's got this little shift on it, which is no longer the logo. But here's T-24, their website. Go to website.com. You can check out all the cool stuff they have going on. Check out their Bird Blondes if you're a Pittsburgh sports fan. Even if you're not, there's still some cool stuff there. And you can even find a really cool Groot shirt somewhere on the site that was designed by our own Scott Zambelli.
Yes, that was a great shirt.
So I mentioned my birthday last week, and part of the reason I did is I went to, and I didn't post a lot on Facebook about this, I went to the Henry Ford and saw the new Marvel exhibit.
Oh, how was it?
It was awesome. Now, the neat thing is a lot of people are like, oh, I love seeing the costumes, and I love seeing the statues. The statues are cool. They had a really cool thing statue, and you can sit next to them. And then they had a really big Hulk statue, and that was really cool. And then they had some costumes. Mainly, they had a lot of stuff from Black Panther. They had Tom Holland's. They had some Iron Man stuff, and a lot of the stuff we've seen at some of the conventions, including like last year at San Diego. They had a lot of that stuff there, But what I was mostly impressed with and excited about was they had got on loan from several collectors, private collections, things like that, all kinds of original pages, penciled and inked, and they even had some Kirby stuff.
Nice.
So, and the beauty of it, you go up there and you see, okay, here's what I think it was Ditko inked it or something like that. I forget which one it was. But you're looking at this thing and you get close and you can see all the pencil marks from Kirby.
Yeah. Now, for those who don't know who Kirby is, he's one of the legends in the industry. Like, he's on the Mount Rushmore of comic book.
It's Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, Ditko, those are the main guys that back in the day really launched Marvel Comics. And as much as Stan Lee was the face and the voice of Marvel Comics, Kirby was doing, I forget how many books a month he was doing, but it was insane the work he did. And he was not professionally trained. He was more just self-taught and everything else, but he had started doing everything. Yeah, as Kevin said, King Kirby, yes.
Kirby's pencils were phenomenal. And then depending on, there's even controversy over which inker, like certain inkers over time, because people feel that particular inker actually ruined Kirby's work, whereas other inkers made the work look great. But Kirby would do insane detail too. And even in today's standards, his speed is legendary. How many pages he did. I think he still holds the record for most pages.
Well, he was doing, I don't know, a dozen or more books a month at one point. It was ridiculous. And he was cranking them out like, every day. He's like an hour a page, I think, or something like that.
And the thing is, too, this was also at a time where it was not a glorious job to be a comic book illustrator.
Oh, no. I mean, you when you go back in time, I got this really cool book. I got Year by Year Marvel, a visual history in that. And this is a great book to read through and see the history of Marvel all the way back to Timely Comics, when Stanley Lieberman, aka Stan Lee, was working for his uncle and as a copywriter, and they went on to create some comics and publish, and eventually it became Marvel Comics. Once the comic history was at a big downturn at that point because they were still fighting the code at that point. So,
right.
And they talk about that. They talk about the code at this thing. They talked about the history of Marvel, how it got started. So you learn about all these great, people that were there. They had a really cool picture of the bullpen. It was a hand-drawn picture, and it lists all these names of people. And it wasn't an exact time frame. It was like, here's a bunch of people that were in the bullpen at one time. And my friend was with me. I was telling her, I said, oh yeah, I said, I've met that one. I've met that one. I've met that one. I said, I haven't met that one, but I wanted to. And then it was kind of cool seeing the people I've met that were all part of the Marvel bullpen at one time or another. And that, so
this particular website is the Kirby Museum. So Jack Kirby lived from 1917 to 1994. It says Jack Kirby, widely recognized as one of the most influential and prolific creators in comics. He created or co-created such enduring characters as Captain America, Fantastic Four, the Avengers, the X-Men, the Hulk, the New Gods, and hundreds of others, stretching back to the earliest days of the medium. So yeah, it's quite amazing. But that there is Jack Kirby there. And let's see, is there any pages? Let's see. I see if there's a gallery. Gift shop, support us, about the Kirby effect.
Yeah.
Original art.
Well, he also did character designs for a lot of the animated cartoons starting in the late 60s. My favorite was Thunder the Barbarian. He did all the character designs for that. And it looks straight up Kirby-esque. So
now this is in their archives for the Kirby Museum. They currently have 4,600 comic book pages in the archives. He did far more than that. Yeah. But 110 comic strips, 7,700 pencil sketches, 500 commission sketches. The man just drew nonstop. It's amazing.
Well, and that was the thing. It was he was you were paid by page, artist. That's how they got paid. So the more you did, the more you made. And it took years for him to kind of get the creator aspect side of it to get residuals, which of course back then there was no such thing as residuals. So
that didn't exist back then. And that kind of turned into part of the big feud, especially between fans over Stan Lee versus Jack Kirby, who was better, who was what. And the reality is they both needed each other. Kirby needed, Stan Lee was the spokesman. He was the salesman who the personality. Kirby just wanted to draw. And there's a lot of artists like this. You can be the best artist in the world, but if no one knows you're there, no one knows you're there. And Kirby loved to draw and just did up, and he did amazing work. Stan Lee was the Barnum Bailey, who got it out there.
Yeah, and he did that forever. I mean, most of our my generation, I believe, is our introduction to it was a lot of us read the comics and saw the Kirby art, even and some of the reprint stuff. But it was when Stan Lee was doing stuff like Spider-Man's Amazing Friends. It's like, and he come on and his iconic voice and everything else, it drew you in. And the more you get to know, you learn all about the aspects of it. And I know some people, I've got people I know that they really don't like Stan Lee because they feel like he rooked Kirby, but at the same time, it was kind of the business of the time, and Stan Lee, even through it, especially later in life, even recognized. He said, "No, Kirby had a big part of this," but it was never about him addressing that feud or anything else like that. So
from that era too, whether it's musicians, whether it's movie stars or TV stars or comic book legends, there was no such thing as royalties or residuals. People made these things with no intention of 50 years later, there's still a market for these. They thought once they put an issue out, they never expected anyone to look at an issue again after it was out.
Well, it was like that throughout history of our entertainment, really, from starting around the early 1900s. And you look at all the films we lost in the silent era because as soon as they made the tour, what do we do with them? Dump them in the ocean. Nobody cares.
Same with TV shows like Doctor Who. Soon after it aired, they would copy over the tapes.
Yeah.
There was no such thing as reruns, kind of like in Back to the Future, where Marty McFly's like, "Oh, I've seen this one." They're like, "What do you mean you've seen it?" And he's like, "It's a rerun." What's a rerun?
Yeah, because they didn't re-air them, and that was rare. And that's the thing. Yeah, same thing with media and stuff like that. I mean, books got reprinted in editions and kept going and things like that, but eventually those would disappear too.
Right.
And of course, that's what makes first edition so much sought after. When you look back at stuff from the late 1800s, look at like the old Lewis Carroll stuff and H.G. Wells. The first editions are so valuable because after people read them, they just tossed them. And that was it. Nobody collected and kept, and that fortunately a lot of that stuff continued on. But think about how much of those works of art and books and things like that have been lost because once they made the rounds, it's like nobody cared. We're done. That doesn't need to be reprinted. So thank gosh for digital now, because we've got a lot of stuff that pops back up digitally now that we can actually enjoy again.
Well, that's cool that they had those drawings there at the exhibit at the Henry Ford Museum.
That was my favorite part. It really was. And I would go back again just to spend more time looking at all that stuff and even seeing the history. And you're kind of like me. We both know the history. We've been around enough that we know the history of Marvel Comics and how they do things, how they create the comics. They talk about that too. But for those that don't, I definitely recommend that. I ran into Miss Adamski. She's a teacher over at Lincoln Schools, and actually she graduated a couple years from me before me in high school. But I didn't really know her back then as well. She mom. She came out to the Comic-Con at Great Lakes, the only Comic-Con that we went to this year. And I'm walking through the thing, and I happen to look up, and I see her. So I talked to her, and her husband had already been in there, and this was towards the end. Over 3 hours, just looking at everything and enjoying it, and listening and watching the little videos and everything they have everywhere. And they have a thing where you can actually digitally put the Iron Man armor on you, and you can move around, which is kind of cool, and things like that. So definitely go see it. It's at the Henry Ford here in Dearborn, Michigan. It runs through January. I don't know the exact date. If you're not a member, you have to buy a ticket to the museum and a ticket to Marvel, and you want to plan ahead because they sell out daily.
Nice. Well, that's good.
Cool. Yeah.
And it gives you something to do. How about the what was the process going in?
It wasn't bad. You go in, they took your temperature, you had to have your mask on, and basically it was just they let you in. I mean, they do have caps, daily limits, and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. One thing they asked, are you here for the Marvel? Yes. Do you have a ticket for it? Yes, we do. And there's a sign that said sold out. And then from there, they just take it around and show them at the entrance to the museum, and they'll let you in. And it wasn't packed. You could easily walk around. You didn't have people standing on top of you. There was the social distancing was in effect there, so people were definitely keeping their distance. It's a little more cramped in the Marvel, but it's not bad, and people were still giving people space and time to move.
My only criticism is that room at the Henry Ford where they do their special exhibits, I wish it was bigger.
Yes,
they're special exhibits. I always feel like it should be a little bigger. Like when they had their Star Trek exhibit, I absolutely loved it, but it just felt a hair too small.
Yeah, the Pixar one, they kind of spread out when I went there a couple years ago, and it felt it was a little bit bigger. Okay. But it may have been just the way they did everything. But it was, and there was a lot more interactive stuff, and I think they actually did spill out a little bit into a couple of the other areas in that. But yeah, it wasn't too bad. I mean, that felt like something. It was definitely. It's not a huge exhibit. It's a good size one though over a lot of the era. But there's so much more they could have shown and talked about if they could do a full size museum with multiple floors of just Marvel, and if they wanted to really bring everything in between, old pages, how the old stuff was done, how it went into the different medias, as well as the current Marvel Cinematic Universe stuff. I mean, that alone would be like its own. That could fill a Henry Ford museum by itself.
Right. Let's see here. I'm gonna pull up, or camera's blocking my screen here. Where am I? There I am. I'm gonna put up the Batman. We're already at 10:30. How did that happen?
Yeah. Well, I've got the trailer up here.
Oh, you do? Okay, then you do it.
Yes. So, we don't have sound because have sound. They come after us for copyrights, but this is the teaser trailer. And we'll let that kind of play a little bit here. I love the fact that they did the old 70s Warner Brother logo. So I'm assuming this is going to be set in the 70s like the Joker was.
A part of me is wondering that. Like, are they doing this in such a way that if they want to merge this into that franchise, they could? Because it does have the feel of that, I think.
Yeah.
But officially, this is considered its own independent movie. It's not part of a larger universe.
Yeah. So
but it looks like the Calendar Man, I think it is, and the Riddler are the villains, which is amazing. I didn't think Warner Brothers knew that there were villains other than the Joker in the Batman universe.
Well, and the thing is that I personally would Joker Batman right away. If they're going to do this and end up doing it right, I think they need to go for a few. And of course, I like the fact that we're looking at this as the Batman is more in league right away with the police, so they know who he is, where he's not just completely separate like we saw before with the Dark Knight.
Yeah. My overall, I really like the trailer. I am not buying Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne or as Batman. There are certain people who make a great Bruce Wayne, some that made a great Batman. I don't feel he's either. I feel though my gut is telling me I think the story is going to be good. But he still, as far as the bat suit goes, to me, it looks like it's Daredevil with a cape. Face wise, it looks like he's Robert Smith from The Cure. I'm not, it's like a bad attempt at making the Winter Soldier, give it, I don't know. This scene was excellent right here.
Well, he's definitely more back to more of the violent Batman.
Yeah. Which, once again, to me, I mean, Batman has been many things over the years, so he can be many things. But when you make Batman about vengeance, he's the Punisher at that point. And so that's where I don't like that, but I don't know. But overall, the trailer, I think, did its job and looks good.
Yeah. Well, and the thing with it, like right there, you see him. The whole goth look of him, I don't buy that. Bruce Wayne, no matter in every incarnation we know, he's always been, he's
a playboy.
Now, again, they're probably making him a little bit younger here is what it looks like, but at the same time, he still should have that playboy-esque.
But that's my other problem with this. It's like, yeah, but he's supposed to be a younger Batman. He's 34 years old, Robert Pattinson. Yeah. If you want to go with the younger Batman, then get a 20-year-old actor and actually make him a young Batman. Make him 18 or 20. But you're hiring a 34-year-old. It's just like Man of Steel. The issue I had with that with Henry Cavill. I liked Henry Cavill as Superman, but it's like, oh no, this is the young Superman at the beginning of his career. Well, how old is Henry Cavill? Hire a 20-year-old to play Superman if you want young Superman.
Yeah. Well, they did, and they screwed it up when they did the Brandon Routh movie because he was 27, I think, when that came out. So they had their opportunity there. They just had a bad story, and that's the thing we were talking about. You'd have a great story a bad actor, or you have a great actor, which Brandon Routh was. I thought would have been a great Superman. Horrible story. It was the same. They'd already told the story like 4 times. Just like, we don't need this story, and we don't need him to be a deadbeat dad.
Well, he was perfect as a continuation of the Christopher Reeves Superman. And like you said, the story, though, they screwed up the story. That would have been an excellent continuation of the Christopher Reeves Superman. He was a perfect Clark Kent for Christopher.
Yeah, they should have had an older Lois Lane. They should have not had the kid involved. And he was gone for a few years, and he comes back. And they can explain he had gone off to do whatever, but and comes back, and then things are gone there, but it didn't have to be what they did. So.
And that's when they got rid of Superman 3 and 4 got written out of the canon because this has completely wiped those off the face of the map that they never.
Well, Superman 3 was, that was a comedy. Superman 4 and Chris Reeves, may rest in peace. He wrote and directed that one, and it was just horrible.
Chris Reeves wrote that one.
I'm pretty sure he wrote that. If I remember, that was his baby. I was like, this is not good. He wanted to do a environmental movie around the Superman thing. People would come see it. Superman and everything, and it was just
Captain
bad.
Planet.
It was bad storytelling. And then Ted Turner's like, I will steal that idea, Captain Planet.
Here's what we need. We got Zack Snyder. He's rebooting the DC universe through this HBO Max recut thing. Mm-hmm. Actors are coming back. Here's my wish. Terrence Stamp is still alive. Have him come back as Zod. He's been trapped in the Phantom Zone this whole time, and he finally gets out. And have him take on this. Maybe through the Phantom Zone, they cross the universe into this universe of the Henry Cavill Superman, and have an aging Zod rise again.
That'd be cool. And what's her name? The girl that was with him, she's still alive too.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I'm blanking on her name, and I've met her a bunch of times. She's a real sweetheart too.
The big guy, did he pass? He's around.
I think he passed.
Was it him that passed? Okay,
I think so. But here's talking about the Snyder Cut. And again, we don't know the copyright since we're just showing the video. No idea. We want to help promote you guys, so don't sue us because we're giving you guys free promotion. But there's, Darkseid, and these are some of the new scenes they're throwing in. And the Justice League movie, story wise, I thought it was very. First of all, he's tried way too much with this, anyways. But now we're gonna go to the Snyder Cut, and they're actually reshooting some of the scenes, the stuff that he didn't do when he had.
Well, and it sounds like they're completely changing the story. This is gonna be a whole new movie, actually. Is what it sounds like.
And it sounds like it's going to be more of a mini series now because they're adding a lot of time to it.
Yeah, it's 4 episodes or something. I will say this: I still have not seen the Justice League movie. I have zero interest in it. The look of it.
I saw it once. I had a free pass. I went and saw it once, and people told me, "Well, I love this," and everything they talked about was, "I saw this cover and I saw that cover." It's like, yeah, there's all these these slow motion shots that were
like
taken right from covers. Yeah,
nice slow motion.
Yep.
But I will say I'm intrigued by this, and I might watch this.
And they're kind of come back around. It's been announced that Ben Affleck is coming back as Batman in the new Flash movie, which they're saying Flash is going to be a Flashpoint movie.
Oh, Amber Heard is still in it.
So
I'm surprised they didn't ban her.
Yeah, they're bringing all this stuff. They're cyborgs. They're actually expounding some of the stuff I know they've done in this, and I liked Amy Adams. I thought she was really good. In that, but again, it was there's some of these things that the thing was more the story. That's kind of interesting. They're doing Cyborg look at his dad. They dealt with the cyborg origin in the Stargirl series written by Jeff Johns. That was on CW. So we'll see a different version of that. So, and I liked Affleck. I really was actually more excited to see Affleck as Batman than anybody else because I wanted him to have his own movie. Warner Brothers just needs to stop worrying about trying to have these Avengers movies with all these movies and have a good, here's this character, here's their movie. That's, why Wonder Woman was good. I'm excited to see what they do with Wonder Woman 84 when we can eventually go see that.
I think what they need to do is stop interfering.
Yeah.
It's the Warner Brothers does not know how to make comic books. Get out of the way and let the comic book people make the comic books. Patty Jenkins hit a home run with Wonder Woman because Warner Brothers was so focused on Justice League, as we've talked about a ton. They were focused on that. We remember at the time, we're like, there's like no posters. There's nothing up for Wonder Woman. They're like ignoring this.
Yeah. I went to the preview night and I saw several women, multiple races, all coming in dressed as Wonder Woman. And the only thing they had in the theater was a poster behind the thing, and all it had was just a basic logo. That was it. There was no standees. Is there standees around it or anything? Like, no, they've done nothing.
What's funny is they're finally advertising Wonder Woman 84, and the movie didn't come out. COVID. But the toys are out. The nacho chips with Wonder Woman on it came out.
Oh yeah. That came out a couple months ago because we're supposed to have this movie now and seen it, and I'm looking forward to still. They did the big DC fandom thing last weekend where they released the Snyder Cut stuff. They talked about the stuff they're going to be doing.
That's where the Batman trailer came out.
Yep. So I mean, was a neat. I didn't get a chance to watch anyway because I was working, but it was a neat little fan thing for the fans that want to see that. I just hopefully with. It's like on TV and stuff. You got Jeff Johns coming in and really homing a lot of this stuff and overseeing it. We're going to see a better direction going forward and a more cohesive story. I mean, they talked about the new Suicide Squad movie that's coming out next year. Still not excited about that. Definitely, the Birds of Prey one just tanked miserably, and it wasn't because of COVID. It was just a bad movie.
It was horrible. Yeah, they tried to blame COVID, but yeah, it was.
No, it was bad.
Oh, here you go.
I couldn't even watch it. I tried to watch it. I couldn't watch it.
With my little fantasy bad guy trio here, Jack O'Halloran was Non. He was the big brute for the bad guy Superman 2. He is still alive. He's 77 years old.
Okay.
So he's still there. Sarah Douglas, we still have. She's 67.
Yep.
And Terrence Stamp is with us. So that we could have the Phantom Zone kind of transport them into this. That would be awesome.
That'd be cool and show them age because she's still acting. She pops up once in a great while on something. I see her on like Instagram and Facebook all the time. And she was trying to think. There's I don't know if you probably weren't there. We did this show years ago in Niles, Ohio, and it was the Tiki Con. And she was there.
I wasn't there.
She was there, and then Margot Kidder was next to her, and Margot was a little bit late, and I was talking with her and something like that. I said, I always liked you. I said, I'm not a fan of Margot's. I said, I'm waiting to see what she does this time because I said I've done enough shows with her. She's been around, and she was, oh yeah,
she was a little.
She was a little out there, but
kind of like what's her name, Joni Cunningham.
And the thing is, I'm not trying to slam her or even Aaron Moran. It was, so it was
when you do a lot of conventions, you get to know a different side of celebrities than the general public.
Yeah, and some are really great. I mean, to this day, I'm
Some
still
are,
friends with some, and
Yeah.
you get to know some of them and things like that. And
Well, that's like this last week. My memory popped up on Facebook about when I got to hang out with Michael Hogan from Battlestar Galactica. He turned out to be amazing. He plays Commander Ty from Battlestar Galactica, and I hung out with him for a solid 30 minutes, probably longer. He was just talking the whole time, and he was a really great guy.
Every time I see him, he's appreciative fans. He'd come down sometimes, like at Motor City and a few other ones, and just hang out in the lobbies at the main hotel with us. And he didn't care. Someone come by, I'll take a picture real quick. He didn't care.
Yeah.
He knew he was there to sell autographs, stuff like that. But he was so appreciative of his. I mean, he's been in the industry for so long that they have the recognition now.
Yeah,
he appreciated it more than someone that gets it right away.
Well, and that's what he talked about with me. He had a little too much to drink, and he was very similar to his character in Battlestar Galactica, actually. But
that's why he's a good actor.
He was going on about he was ripping on certain celebrities. I won't say names, just about how unappreciative they are of their own fans. And he's like, we wouldn't be here if not for fans. I just don't get it. But I think the key is, I think the people who hit it big later in their careers, they appreciate it. They know how hard it is to actually hit it big. Yeah. Whereas somebody who hits it big on day one, and then they're constantly trying to re-achieve that glory, and they're trying to relive old glory days that never happen again. And then I think they become bitter, like, oh, I have to be here to make money, instead of the other way around.
Right.
And whereas Michael Hogan, like you said, he was acting for a long time. So he was appreciative of the growth that Battlestar Galactica gave to his career.
Yeah. Well, before we go up to our talking about Bardstone a little bit more, I wanted to ask you, have you seen the information on this new Netflix film hitting on Friday?
Is that the one where they're listening to space and a signal comes through?
No. This one is a Spanish film, and it's
Spanish.
Basically, and I watched the trailer. You can watch on there. It's basically it's a very chiseled but somber detective must find a serial killer who leaves clues that only his mentor's nerdy comics loving son can decipher. And watching the trailer, it's all subtitled. They're mentioning all these comic book people.
He's a chiseled.
I know. I love that. A very chiseled.
What does that mean?
He's right here. See, look at that.
Abs.
See, no, look at that. Look at that. Look at the chin. He's very chiseled.
Yeah.
He's that detective. And then she comes in the trailer and she's talking about it's cosplay and she's dressed in everything. And he's a comic book store runner who knows all about comic books. And they're mentioning stuff like, Iron Man and things like that. And you see like Sailor Moon. And
well, I want to protest this movie, because why do they make the comic book guy the heavy guy?
Well, we could blame Simpsons on that. So, but yeah, this is it right here. So
that bow is way too big for Sailor Moon.
So, but
I've seen better cosplays at the.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a Spanish movie. I'm definitely kind of excited about
check
this.
it out.
And it's gonna be subtitled. It drops on Netflix on Friday, and then something else is dropping Friday on streaming. I forget what it is right now, but we got a lot of stuff coming up pretty soon. You see, she's different costumes. She was, so it's kind of interesting to see the different things they're doing. The guy, to me, the comic book nerd guy, he looks like it would have been Jack Black if it was done here. So, and there's his store. So definitely, I'm gonna definitely check this out. The trailer looks really good, and that someone with a friend of mine last night, and I was told I should check that out too. So, it should be good.
Here, I'll show you this. This is what I've been watching. Let me share it. Stop that screen. Share screen. This one. So I've been watching this lately. It's called The Outpost.
Oh, okay. It's from the CW
show. Yeah, but I've been watching it on the IMDb network. It's a free streaming channel. Oh, okay. That you can stream. They got a ton of movies and TV series on there, and it's all free. So you can download the app to your. I have the Amazon Fire Stick, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
So I'll watch the IMDb network every now and then, and they got some really cool up-to-date movies and shows. Anyway, so I put this on. It's an okay show. I like it better than Arrow. It's kind of like, it's a CW series. So you know what that comes with. But it's like watching a Dungeons and Dragons CW version of Dungeons and Dragons. I like it. it's got the kind of storyline that it's perfect for, like, if I'm doing art, you're working on a project, you want something to enjoy, but you don't want to have to pay close attention to it.
Right.
That's what this show is. It's a fun show. Nice just to watch while, in the background, and, the storyline is good. My only criticism is the main actress, the writing for her. She, it's a female hero, and I think they just try a little too hard to make her tough. Mm-hmm. And she just comes across as bitchy. But
that's the hard part of the writing is sometimes they want to go tough and they go the wrong way with it. Yeah. Because they need to go back and watch this Lucy Lawless,
Yes. Yeah.
As Xena.
You could be tough without being angry at every male in the story.
Right.
And which is how it starts. But as the season goes on, in season one, and season ones are always rougher because the actors and writers, everyone's trying to find the voice. I feel like by the end of season one, they get her into a better place, and they do a better job of writing her. So I'm into season 2 now, and I'm enjoying it better in season 2. But it's if you just want a show on in the background, it's a fun show. Yeah, so that's what I've been putting on while I've been doing all my cards that I have to do for my rewards for drawing. So that's what I've been watching.
Very cool. I've been revisiting movies from the 80s on Amazon Prime. I watched Tommy Lee Jones and Michael O'Keefe and Nathan Hayes last night.
Oh.
It's one of those movies I was like, I haven't seen this probably since the 80s. And it's a pirate movie, but it's not, the pirate, like the Pirates of the Caribbean or Treasure Island, that vein. It's a pirate movie set in the age as steam power was coming up and they were moving into heavier weaponry, because you see a big metal ship at one point, and he's telling this story. Tommy Lee Jones is to this guy who's writing it all down. He goes, "Are you a pirate?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm a pirate." He goes, but he had morals and things like that, but wasn't a pirate in the traditional. He goes, "I never flew the Jolly Roger or the skull and crossbones." But and you see that they are pirates, but they were in the Pacific Ocean, because they end up on like Isle of Samoa and things like that. So not over in the Caribbean. So they're different type of pirates, but a fun movie from the 80s, a lot of action and adventure, and it definitely is. When you watch it, it's going, yeah, they got a lot of white people to play those natives and and stuff like that. But it was fun to revisit that. And then I saw one from 83 called Spring Break the other day. And it's just, again, these are straight up 80s, cliche movies. They all have the musical montages for those that do it and things like that. And so it's just kind of fun.
Of course, now any movie from the 80s now has to have a trigger warning in the
movie. Yeah.
This movie was made in an old time when sensibilities weren't as refined as yours are now.
Yeah. And people weren't pussies, so.
Ooh.
But what?
Cats.
I'm getting old, I'm hitting that half century mark. So
talk about getting up there in age. We got Sean Connery, who yesterday turned 90.
Yep, yesterday was Talk Like Sean Connery Day.
Yes. Yeah. Talk like Sean Connery. Yeah,
he was, of course, most people just go, suck it, Trebek.
I know. But Sean Connery's a great guy. I wish that's the part that sucks about getting older. We don't get to follow him, and he's retired from acting, but he's enjoying life with his family and enjoying retirement. And
it's been almost 20 years, because the last thing he did was a League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and then he retired. Yeah. And you know what? I kind of respected him for that, because it was like he's like, I'm done. I've done everything I wanted to do, and I'm just gonna go and enjoy the rest of my life. And you never know how long he's been. He's been another 20 years, and who knows? He still could be another 10, 15 years. He could still live a long life.
You've got those actors like him. Same with Gene Hackman. They just kind of they actually retired, and Gene Hackman went on to be a writer and writing books.
And
I would love to still see.
Yeah, and Hackman he came to fame a little bit later in his life than Connery. Connery was already known through the 50s, had done some stuff and was getting up there, and he became worldwide known explosion when he did, of course, James Bond.
Right.
So, and I see we got a little trailer for all kinds of crazy stuff here.
I think it's HBO Max.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to get to the part where there we go. Oh, and then it pauses. Come on. There we go.
Yes.
I was showing some clips from some of Sean Connery's older work, but he was a great James Bond. I loved him in Highlander. He was
Yes.
great in there, and yeah,
I've been seeing it pop up on Amazon Prime. I haven't watched it, but it was a Zargon. And he's wearing basically like the unitard, the thong unitard at that. So
and that's a classic image that comes up and makes the virtual rounds every now and then.
yeah, I ended up buying on video because I had a sale on it. A great movie that a lot of people don't really recognize with him. It was the Molly Maguires. It came out around 1970. And it co-starred Richard Harris, and it's set in the Pennsylvania mines, dealing with the Molly Maguires were a radical Irish kind of gang at the time, and dealing with fighting against the corporations of the mines and stuff like that. It was actually a really good movie, and Richard Harris infiltrated them as a detective set back in like the late 1800s, early 1900s. So. And so I definitely recommend checking out the Molly Maguires. It's a great film. He's got a great library, so you can definitely check out. There's a lot of cool stuff that Sean Connery did. The Untouchables is still one of the most widely respected movies he ever did, and everything else. So yeah, you found the picture there. There it is.
You know what I'm amazed at though? With how crazy some cosplayers can get, we never see this at a Comic-Con.
I'm expecting it to, since the movie's popping up on streaming. There's going to be some guy, he's like 25. He goes, I'm hairy like that. I can pull it off.
But like, I try to picture like Sean Connery gets the script. He's like, yeah, Sean, I will do this movie. And then he gets to wardrobe fitting. He's like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, he probably got to the fitting. He's like, I'm James Bond. What is, yeah. Here's like, your check. Okay. They're like, here's your check, Mr. Connery. Okay.
He's like, okay, now what goes over it? Nothing. Yeah. What? It's just my underwear.
Yeah. Of course, I saw something yesterday with his birthday. There was a post showing that when Patrick Stewart played the King in Robin Hood Men in Tights, he was actually doing the Scottish accent, making fun of Sean Connery. I was like, that's kind of hilarious.
Definitely.
So yeah, Scott, you created and kind of after Maurice LaMarche's Talk Like William Shatner Day, the Talk Like Sean Connery Day. How many years ago now? Because we talked about it, several years ago now.
That was many years ago. So I'm not sure. I'm now. There's a meme, and it's so true. I am now at the age where everything feels like 5 years ago.
Yes,
doesn't matter what it was. If you're talking about the 80s, hell yeah, that was about 5 years ago. 90s, yep, about 5 years ago.
Yeah. Well, you think about it. Dr. No came out in 62, and Sean Connery is 90. Yeah, it was like 5 years ago. When actually it was almost 60 years ago. He was 32 or something like that when that came out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And 38 years or 40, whatever, 58 years later, it's like, geez, it doesn't feel as long ago now as we get older. When you're younger, everything feels like a million years. 1980, watching Empire Strikes Back, it felt like Star Wars had been 20 years before. It'd been so long, because 3 years was a long time in a short young life.
So I have a question for you. So
Yes.
You watch a movie now, and this is a funny thing about age.
Mm-hmm.
You watch a movie now and some 20-year-old is in it, and you're like, oh my God, it looks like a baby, right? But when you watch movies that you grew up watching where people are younger, like Star Wars, Mark Hamill was very young as Luke.
Not really. He was 27.
Well, yeah, but now if we see a 27-year-old in a movie, we think he looks young. Robert Pattinson looks young. He's 34. But when you watch the old Star Wars now, do you look at Hamill and think, oh my God, he looks so young? Or does he still feel older to you watching it because he was older than you when you watched it? I don't know if I'm conveying what I'm trying to say.
I think that when I look at it as, at times, like, I don't feel, I again, looking at these movies in the past, they don't feel like they look young to me per se. Because when you compare, like, oh, I just saw them in something and now I'm seeing something new, or something, when you go back and forth, it's like, oh wow, look how young they look compared to now.
Right.
So that's they all did. I think the only one, like, using Star Wars as a reference has been when I end up started kind of did like you did. I've been going through rewatching Star Wars again. It's been also part of my 80s and 70s vision again. Carrie Fisher, I look at it going, I got so used to Carrie Fisher these last several years.
Yeah. That
when I look at her now, back then, how young she looked, and especially in Empire, I really see it more in Empire than even A New Hope, just because of the way she was in that versus even a New Hope. New Hope, she still looked young, but it was something with the way she did that, and even going into Return of the Jedi.
But there's a perfect example, like Daisy Ridley.
Yes.
Let's see. Daisy Ridley is 28 years old, but when you see her with all this force power stuff, you're like, oh my God, she's so young and all this stuff. She seems so young, but Carrie Fisher was 10 years younger when she did Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
But I think because I was so young at the time in relation to her, she was older.
Yeah.
Like for me mentally, I'm still a little kid watching Star Wars when I'm watching Star Wars. So I don't look at her and think, wow, she's really young to be leading a rebellion. She's like 18. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas now that I'm 47 almost,
mm-hmm.
and looking at Daisy Ridley, it's like, she's too young to be leading all those people.
Well, and the thing, though, if we really watch the Star Wars with the age-wise, they helped establish it more with the prequels, is that, by a younger age, they're more involved in the world than are in our world today. When you have a Queen Amidala is 14 and running a world, and nowadays a 14-year-old, they can't run a wet paper bag.
Well, nowadays a 40-year-old can't do anything.
Yeah. So
I mean, whereas, and actually that's a good point, because like even let's see, Alexander the Great, like how old was he when he conquered the world? He was like, what was he? I mean,
that's the thing when you look at some of the
he was 20 years old.
Yeah. Because they start you get these people, they start off when they're 10, 11 years old. They're done with school. There's not, you got more history? No, we got like 5 years. Go on, get out of here. Go create history. Stuff like that. So, and that's part of the thing too, and younger people, and we get more now. And I think we're seeing our society as we're living. I think part of it's because they're living longer. I mean, Alexander the Great, what was the average lifespan? 35 years. It's like you had to start young. By the time, 13, 14 years old, you were getting married and having kids because you had to, because you had no time. And anybody living longer outside of the Bible, when they lived, they had Noah and all them living hundreds of years. God was helping that out. But, it's more of, lifespan was smaller. You had to keep moving, and there wasn't, all this schooling like we have now. And then you have to go to this, and your life didn't start until you were 25. By 25, you were retired. Right. And but you got something to share here before we lock off here?
Yeah, we'll give a Bardstone update. So here's a sneak peek at the pencils that came in here from Travis Smith. Loving how page 1 of issue 2 is looking right now. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty sweet. So that is going. He's working on pages 2 and 3 right now, and we're fast tracking that. So first 14 pages are laid out. I did the layout, so I'm going to be getting back to those pretty soon after I finish this Wretched Realms part. Yeah. He's going to be moving forward on pencil, so that's exciting. And let's see, I can flip through the pages for the pictures here, and then for where's the arrow to go to the next page? Oh, here we go. Okay, I scroll through. This is the Wretched Realms that's coming out soon. Is that up on your screen? Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, perfect. It all started with this drawing. Wretched Realms is going to be an anthology series. So every issue is a standalone story, and they're going to be stories inspired by various things. I'm using music. This one here is The Renegade by Styx was the song, and listening to it, I had the story come up, and I thought, oh, you know what? This will be a perfect one-issue story, and I have some other songs I'm going to put down and do. But what's nice about being an anthology series is we can have different writers, different artists. It doesn't have to have a unified look. So, if you're an artist out there who has a story, Wretched Realms might be a good fit for you. If you want to talk to Bardstone, we'll be happy to hear you out, and we can talk about making yours an issue of Wretched Realms. So that'll be nice. These are some of the interiors I've done here. These are the pencil layouts I'm doing for Wretched Realms. Right now I'm working on pages 22 and 23. It's going to be 26 pages total.
Very nice.
So, yeah. So, and for those who don't know, you can go look up the song, but it's the one where it's like, oh, mama, I'm in fear for my life. Hangman's coming down from the gallows. I don't have very long. So there's the hangman down here. So this has been really fun to do. It's a I don't usually do Wild West stuff. So
it looks like you're throwing in some diabetes there. You got some Wilford Brimley tribute there. May he rest in peace.
Kind of look like him, doesn't it? Maybe it's a heavier mustache.
Yeah.
This is actually a real life judge from the Wild West. He was known as the hanging judge.
Oh, okay.
So I thought he'd be perfect for the storyline. So so this is all good stuff here. So that gives you some samples there.
Very cool. Very cool.
And then, like I said, for how do I get out of this? There we go. It went full screen on me. That's why I didn't know if it was being seen or not. Crimson Shadows, the final stuff is all arriving. Should be end of this week, early next week at the latest. And then we'll be going down to Indiana to visit the minor homestead, and we'll be signing stuff, getting everything ready for that. And then the week after, I will be packaging everything and begin shipping. So I'm very excited for all of that.
Very cool. Well, hey, this has been a fun episode. We're definitely over our time, but hey, we don't have to pay extra for it. So, so join us next week. We're gonna have a fun time again, talking about whatever we decided to talk about. This week was kind of a I didn't even talk ahead of time. It was like, here it is. Let's just do it. I figured. Let's do Batman trailer and whatever else stuff going on with the Wretched Realms and all that stuff. So a lot of cool stuff. So join us next week, episode 169. We'll be back then. So until then, we'll take you out.